Our population in Orange County exceeds the 33%, Osceola over 55%, and Seminole around 23%. And by 2045, our Hispanic population will experience a generational shift, one that will redefine the region's future. That is why the Hispanic Chamber was founded, to anticipate this growth and serve as a voice and build a bridge for our community. For over 30 years, we've evolved, led by presidents who advanced our mission and expanded our impact. Today, our mission continues to drive the economic growth by strengthening the Hispanic business in Central Florida. And we're rooted by three pillars: commerce, coaching, and community building. And guided by four core values: connection, success, empowerment, and unity. Today, we proudly represent over 2,600 active members, 58 corporate investors, and more than 90 volunteers who bring our mission to life. If you are a board member or a volunteer of any of our committees, please stand to be recognized. Thank you, Juan, Melinda. Thank you for your leadership, and thanks to you, we are the second largest chamber in the entire region and one of the top 10 Hispanic chambers in the nation. A heartfelt thank you to Kia Center and City Kia. City Kia, thank you so much, our newest member of the organization. Let's give it up for City Kia. For opening your doors, and to our longtime partner, Orlando Magic, thank you so much for continuing and believing and saying yes in this collaboration. And to City National Bank for sponsoring our VIP luncheon. Thank you so much, City National Bank. This bridge of partnership continues to inspire all of us. So now, before we dive into today's program, I want to invite all of you to a quick activity. Take 30 seconds to think about your own why. Why do you lead? Why do you build? And why do you show up to these type of events? Now turn to your left or right and share that quick why with your partner next to you. Beautiful. That same sense of purpose, that sense of purpose of talking, of networking, of connecting, of engaging, of building intentional connections. I love it. All right. Your attention for a brief moment here. This happens every time that we get to open the floor for connections. And I love it, because this is where it starts. The conversation starts now, and hopefully it carries over to the next meeting. So make sure that before you leave the room today, you set up your next meeting with that person you're connecting with, the person you're sharing your why. That is what drives our entrepreneurs today, and that is what fuels our chamber, to convene, to develop, and to connect. And we bring together people like you every single time, 150 events across the year, that is shaping the future of our region. So the work we do is possible because our investors, our members, and if you're in the room, and if you're a trustee, one of our 58, please stand to be recognized. All of our trustees. Yes, you too. Thank you to our corporate investors for continuing to invest and believe in our mission. And now, in closing, I want you to think about today, that today is more than just a moment in time. It's a legacy in motion, woven into the very shape of tomorrow. And for me personally, the legacy is about starting an idea and building something bigger than yourself. So I invite you to engage, to listen with intention, to connect with purpose, and innovate with courage. Thank you all for being here today. Let's continue making this an inspiring and productive day. And now, as we move on into the next part of our program, I'm honored to introduce a powerful forward-thinking conversation that is not just focused on the year ahead, but the next 20 years. This next segment, Orlando 2045, invites us to imagine the regions we're building together, and it's a podcast-style dialogue that blends bold thinking, economic foresight, and a community-driven lens of growth. Moderating this session is a leader who exemplifies service, vision, Maritza Martinez Guerrero, Vice President of External Affairs and Philanthropy at the Orlando Magic, true champion of our community. And joining her, two visionary leaders, Tim Giuliani, President and CEO of the Orlando Economic Partnership, a driving force behind our region's innovation and collaboration, and Dr. Ismael Fernandez, President and EB Economist at Green Gate Consulting, who will bring the global perspective and development demographic. Together, they'll explore what Orlando will look like in 20 years, and the role of business leaders and business owners in our community. So please, let's give them a warm welcome to the stage.
Can you hear me? Oh my God, I guess as I sit here, I'll also work on my tan. I am so excited about today, and especially because it is an event that was designed for the Hispanic community. So today I get to say that mi casa es su casa. Actually, es mi casa, la casa de Isu, la casa de todos ustedes. So bienvenidos sean. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Did you get that, Tim?
I actually understood that.
Oh my
yes.
God, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. So our panel's charge this morning is really to explore how our region will grow. And we're going to be engaging in that exercise via the lens of Vision 2045. And that is a project that aims to position our region for intentional growth, because every region can grow. But if we don't have intention and selectivity around how we wish to grow, then we have seen where those exercises do not end in a fruitful position for those specific regions. In addition to us wanting to grow intentionally, the project aims to position Central Florida as a destination for talent, opportunity, and innovation. And of course, as it relates to our conversation this morning, we want to double click on how our Hispanic community will inform and contribute to that vision. And then to do that, I am delighted to be joined this morning by two wonderful thought leaders in their specific areas, and Tim Giuliani and Dr. Ismael Fernandez. And I will introduce them briefly. So as we know, Tim Giuliani, a lot of us are very familiar with Tim. And in catching up with Tim a few moments ago, I said, Tim, I know that you are a brilliant man. I really didn't know that you also spoke Spanish, because this is all going to take place in my native tongue. To which he replied, Bad Bunny gave me 4 months. So I do not speak Spanish yet, but I will in 4 months. But Tim Giuliani is the president and CEO of the Orlando Economic Partnership. And as we know, the Orlando Economic Partnership is affectionately known as the OEP. It is the economic development arm for the Tri-County region. As president and CEO of the OEP, Tim has led the attraction of over 30,000 new jobs to our region, attracted $3.6 billion in capital investments, and added $3.3 billion in annual payroll. He is a national leader in growing cities that deliver economic growth. His approach is centered on the powerful concept that making investments to build a place where people want to live and visit will eventually attract the companies where people want to work. Our next guest is Dr. Ismael Fernandez. For ease of conversation, Dr. Fernandez, we're just going to be on a first-name basis. Is that okay? Yes?
That's correct. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So Dr. Fernandez is the managing director of Green Gate Consulting, a firm specializing in economic impact analysis, feasibility studies, and strategic business planning for investors, developers, municipalities, and institutions across multiple sectors. With more than a decade of experience guiding international and domestic clients through complex investments and development initiatives, Ismael combines quantitative economic modeling with practical business insight to support data-driven decision-making. We are going to spend about 25 minutes together, and the format will be as follows. So I'm going to elevate a set of questions for Tim first, and then I'll turn over and Tim will walk us through the qualitative information we want to know, envisioning and our regional priorities. And then I will turn the conversation over to Dr. Fernandez. Last time I'm using Dr. Fernandez, and I have a set of questions to elevate to him, and he will walk us through all that quantitative data that we want to hear about. So we will start with Tim. Tim, define for us Vision 2045. What does it mean? How is it organized? Is it pillars? Are there milestones that we should be familiarizing ourselves with? What is Vision 2045?
Thanks, Maritza. It's awesome to be here. We've got a great relationship with the Hispanic Chamber, and this is not the first or last time that we'll work together on initiatives like this. The Orlando 2045 vision really came together. Our board went to set sort of a 3-year plan. And it was like, well, where are we going long term? How would we set a 3-year goal based on not knowing where we wanted to go in 10 or 20 years? And so I think this is a really important role that the business community could play, is thinking about long-term investments, thinking about, if you want to grow a company here, you're going to want to know that you have the talent today and tomorrow, you have the energy supply today and tomorrow, you've got the infrastructure, et cetera, the education system. So this long-term thinking, we engaged over 1,000 people in that process. It was led by a steering committee. In fact, Juan Quiroga was a member of that steering committee. And it was to really capture the voices and the ideas of where we found ourselves and where we wanted to go and where we wanted to be purposefully in 2045, where population is going to grow another 1 million people by then. And the concept, it was very interesting. I don't think we ended where I thought we would end, which is always a good sign. But it became very clear that there's an aspiration and that there's a realistic opportunity for Orlando to become a global creative capital. And when you think about that, there's a handful of them in the world. Hopefully, places like Barcelona, Montreal, Paris, Toronto, they come to mind of a place that has it all. They're a great place to visit, lots of arts, culture, sports, great place, lots of higher education opportunities, great business environment, great airport, walkable. They're places you will travel halfway around the world to go see or live. And so we think Orlando's on that trajectory, and in the next 20 years, we believe that can come true. And then you have the conversation, how do we get there? And there's always 1 million ideas and 1,000 priorities. How do you strip that down to 3 that maybe you could walk out of here remembering, or that we could remain focused on? So our organization, in fact, now has a 3-year plan with these pillars. It now has a 1-year sort of operational plan, and we've got our quarterly goals all aligned to get us to where we want to be in 2045. And the 3 pillars we think, not we, but the collective believes are important. First is to be a top 10 innovation hub. We've really got to lean, we're in those rankings now, maybe 15 to 20, depending on which one you look at. We have a really thriving business community, and we want to see that continue to grow. The second, and probably the hardest and the most challenging, will be to become a region of 15-minute cities. And it's a powerful concept that as we grow, we want to ensure that people maintain a good quality of life, and they're able to get around from their job to school to stores in 15 minutes, whether it's by walking or bike or car, and then connect those places with transit and different transportation options. We've sprawled. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. But how do we now move through? And you saw Orange County taking steps along the same path over the last year of updating our codes and our zoning to make sure that we're doing more mixed-use development so we can live closer to where we work, shop, dine, and those sorts of things. The third pillar is to be the best place in America to live. And it comes back to Maritza's introduction. Companies follow the talent. And if we're the place that has the talent and the opportunities and the career paths and the arts and culture, all the things that people want to live around, we'll have success from an economic development perspective. So I would say it comes down to the global creative capital as the North Star, and then it comes into being a top 10 innovation hub, a region of 15-minute cities, and the top place to live in America. I think if we do those three things, we will achieve that goal.
Tim, this is the Hispanic Summit. So tell me, this is my next question, how is the Hispanic community and the Hispanic business community to contribute and to shape that Vision 2045? So tell me a little bit about how you see that unfolding over the next few years, or actually 2 decades. Is it going to be an evolution of the impact that we are making, or a revolution? What is it?
I'm always on the evolution side, personally. These changes are afoot, and then it takes us a while to realize, but I think it's an evolution. So in addition to what Pedro put up on the board, and contrary to Maritz's thinking of my quantitative skills, I do want to throw out there that in the last 6 years of the business growth in Central Florida, 65% has been Hispanic-owned companies. So the trajectory is faster than where we are today. So that part of our economy is definitely growing. We, in fact, are the fastest growing large metro in America. We would not be growing if it wasn't for international migration, which is astounding to think. We could go from the fastest growing to not growing at all if it wasn't for international migration. In fact, we're almost at a point, if not there, in Central Florida, that 1 in 4 people that live here were not born in the U.S. And every time we have a Leadership Orlando class come through, we do this exercise, and it's amazing to me. It's not just all from one place. It's not just like Pedro, a lot of people from Colombia. It's a lot of people from Colombia, but it's a lot of people from a lot of places. And that internationalization of our community is what it will propel us to be a global creative capital. You have to be international. You have to be global. We've upped our FDI and international strategies significantly. Our team was with the Hispanic Chamber team in Spain trying to get the direct flight to Madrid. So I think that internationalization and that globalization of Orlando is, if not the most important, one of the most important elements of becoming a global creative capital. So I think we're on that trajectory already, which is why I don't think it'll be a revolution. It's already happening, or has happened in large shape. And even if you look at the school districts, the population percentages that Pedro, those go up when you look at the younger population as well. So I think the future is very international in Central Florida.
I love that. You mentioned earlier, Tim, that one of the pillars for the Vision 2045 project is to be the #1 place to live in the U.S. Can you talk about, and that speaks to the talent and quality of life in our region.
Right.
Can you elaborate on what will drive that pillar? What will make that pillar a reality here for us?
Yeah, I think I think it comes in 2 parts. Excuse me. The first part I'll just kind of leave for another conversation around, we need to continue to propel the explosion of arts and culture and sports in our community. We all crave that, and the more international we become, the more variety we need to have over time. So I think that's an important one, but we'll save that conversation for later. The one I'll focus on is, to be a great place to live, you got to have good jobs. And you got to have career pathways into those good jobs. And I think a shining example of that, and one to replicate, is what us and a bunch of partners have done over the last 10 years in Osceola County, in Neo City. The whole purpose is building a semiconductor cluster in Central Florida. And it's been done where there's the lowest wages in Central Florida, and we're creating pathways. So Valencia has a new program to be a technician and to prepare you for transition to UCF when it comes to semiconductor manufacturing. UCF has new programs at all levels in semiconductor manufacturing and engineering. And so that industry is one that, for instance, we have a former line cook that went through one of the programs and is now working in the fab. And so when you can provide opportunities for everybody.
What's the fab?
Yes. So the fabrication facility in Neo City, where R&D and prototyping is done on semiconductors. From line cook to the fab. And we're talking about 18-month programs. We're talking, maybe the most inspiring connection is that the Osceola County Board of County Commissioners, over the last, I think it's 3 years now, has made a promise to every graduating senior of the public schools in Osceola County that they will cover their tuition to community college or Orange Technical College. And so that Osceola Prosper program, so now the college going rate in Osceola County went from bottom 5 counties in the state to top 5 counties in the state. And they have pathways and they have opportunity. And so we're seeing so many more kids going into these programs or going into college that will lead to better jobs. And I think that's a real important element as we have people coming from all over the place with all kinds of backgrounds to make sure that those pathways exist.
Wonderful. I think that based on the information that you have shared, we can all agree that Hispanic community involvement and leadership are critical to this vision that we are shaping together. Mm-hmm. How is the OEP engaging with the Hispanic community to make sure that that is the case all throughout?
Yeah, I mean, we've been very purposeful over the last 8 years since the OEP has existed to make sure, we've always been about what we call broad-based prosperity. I mean, to have economic growth, the whole community needs to be thriving. And when we formed the organization 8 years ago, it was in the midst of the longest economic expansion in U.S. history, and there were still parts of our community, demographically and place-based, that weren't improving, or the numbers didn't say they were improving. So I think it's important that we have to look holistically. So when I just left, we have a class of people that are looking to run for elective office in the next few years. It's nonpartisan, but it's a very diverse group. We have a civic leadership track for people looking to get more civically engaged. Never want to maybe be an elected official, but they do want to work with and influence and be part of solutions. We have Leadership Orlando. We had a chair, Yolanda Landano, you know very well. And still to this day are the Landano scholarships helping to diversify that class for people that should be in the class but may not have the financial support from their company to be in the class. So I think it's just making sure that everyone's at the table, and I think that's what we've maintained through all of our leadership programs at the partnership.
I love that, and actually I was not aware that there was a Yolanda Londoño scholarship. So is there information for people who want to learn more about that on the website, or where is it?
Yes,
okay,
I think that's more of a contact
because
us
I
thing.
imagine there are a lot of people here who would like to do Leadership Orlando. It's a wonderful program. I'm a proud grad of Leadership Class 81 or 87. It's one of the two. I always get confused. But it's a wonderful professional development program, and if there's a scholarship, it'll be worthwhile exploring it.
Yes, and we'll try to find a way this year, next year to get people in.
I love it.
Yes.
And then as we conclude our part of the chat, not everybody can be a social media influencer like yourself. I'm a big fan.
Or like Miss 407 here.
How can the audience members here today help in telling Orlando's story and educating people in their respective circles of influence? And when they have that opportunity, what should they be saying?
Yeah, that's a great opportunity. Thank you. A great call to action. We all know this to be true, but just to say it, everybody knows about Orlando. In the U.S., out of the U.S., we're a global brand, but we're so narrowly defined outside of our city based on our huge impact in the tourism and hospitality sector. So we have some fantastic experiences, destinations here that give us the brand. And so how do we leverage that and turn that into business opportunities? I would say our organization, we put out a lot of content as it relates to Orlando's growth and trajectory and stories. In fact, we just launched a podcast yesterday. And the idea is to create shareable content so people can tell the rest of the story. And so that you could tell your networks, we all have a pride in where we live, and it's nice to show the first episode is what was a UCF student, a basketball manager turned entrepreneur, now with a scaling company in partnerships with the NFL, NBA, Disney, Universal, because of his start at UCF on the
Is
basketball
that
team.
Rock'em Sock'em, whatever?
That's Rock'em Sox. Right. We also interviewed Piero, who owns Pana, which is an app. It's sort of a Western Union type technology solution with 200,000 users, so you can transfer money to different parts of the world. So as we get more international, that's a great technology that was born here. So I think there's a lot of stories, whether it's our organization or others, share with people what is going on here. A good story of Rock'em Sox, a good story from Piero about his company Pana will help inform the rest of the story about Orlando.
Love it. Well, thank you very much. And now switching our conversation to Ismael. Ismael, you bring a global economist's lens to our conversation. And looking ahead to 2045, how do you see the Hispanic community shaping Central Florida's economic landscape and the dynamic here? What forces will drive that transformation from your perspective?
Thank you, Marisa. A pleasure being here. By the way, I used to live not too far away from here many, many years ago, and have seen the transformation that Orlando has taken over the last 10 years, and it's fantastic. So I think the Hispanic community is not just going to participate in the economy in 2045. I think they're going to drive it. They're going to be part of the architectural core changes that need to happen between now and then. Looking back at these statistics that Pedro mentioned before, 650,000 Hispanic businesses in Florida alone, about 35% or more of those are already Hispanic. In Orlando metro area, the Hispanic population is expected to hit between 45 and 50% by 2045. So it's going to be a huge portion of the economy, not just a portion of the economy, but they're going to be everywhere: education, policymakers, they're going to be businesses and professional roles. And if you're going to bring 1 million people or more in the next 20 years, everything is going to be bigger and better. So you're going to have more demands for services, for products, for healthcare. So Orlando is transforming in a way that is kind of getting away from that stereotype of, oh, Orlando is the city of tourism, to Orlando is more of a business center, a technology hub, and there are a lot of good opportunities that are happening here, and that we can leverage in Orlando that I don't think they have been exploited enough. Like the University of Central Florida is the biggest university in the U.S. Where do those students go? They don't always stay here, right? So that's an important thing. You have in the healthcare sector, because you have so much population coming in, you got the Lake Nona Medical City. You got in the technology sector, you got the military complex employing more than 60,000 people on the sectors like AI, cybersecurity, and so forth. So we got to move away from the services and retail, which is where the core of the Hispanic businesses have been concentrated in the past, to more of a technology role. And we'll talk about what are the challenges and the opportunities that I see there. But what the Hispanic population also bring in is an international connection. As we have seen in Pedro's briefing here, a lot of the people are not from Orlando. They come to Orlando. And when we look at the Hispanic community, they come from Latin America mainly. I actually work a lot in foreign direct investment and with clients that are coming to the US. Orlando is my number 2 destination. Number 1 is Miami, but it's being saturated. Miami is becoming very, very expensive, and Orlando is becoming a lot better option. So that international connection between Orlando and Latin America is something that the city needs to exploit more. So we're becoming less of a tourism destination and more into a technology hub with international business in mind. Last but not least, I think the access to capital is, because of those connections, are very important. Are going to be able to facilitate export as well as import, given the connections of the Latin American community.
Wonderful, thank you. Ismael, how does Central Florida compare to peer regions in terms of Hispanic economic mobility and business outcomes? I mean, what cities should we have FOMO from? Or I mean, Tim mentioned a few. Can you add some to that?
We can talk about a few a few options here. Actually, given that I'm in Atlanta right now, so I can compare to Atlanta very easily, but I think the most comparable ones are Dallas, Houston, and Austin, Texas. Okay, so one thing that really strikes me is that Orlando is a lot more entrepreneurial than any other of those cities. You get a lot more businesses. Actually, the economic development here in Orlando, the Economic Opportunity Partnership, they noticed that over 76,000 businesses were created just in 2022. Okay, again, out of a big chunk of those are actually from Hispanic entrepreneurs. Okay, so there is no issue on creating businesses. There's a lot more business creation started here in Orlando than in many of the other peer cities. The problem comes to sustainability and the availability to scale. Most of those companies stay very small, and I think it has to do with the entrepreneurial spirit of the Hispanic entrepreneur. Okay, so Hispanics by nature, they want to keep moving, they want to get going, they want to get things done. So rather than working for somebody else, they start an LLC and then work under that company, and then they just have clients. So that's very typical in the Hispanic community, but more so here in Orlando. So the problem is not company creation, the problem is scalability. When you look at the number of businesses that pass the $1 million mark or that pass the 5 employees, that number drops very low compared to peer cities like in Dallas or Atlanta. When it comes down to cost of living, Orlando is still very competitive to Miami and Tampa, for instance, but it is still a little bit higher than Dallas or Austin. So we got to watch out for that cost of living, which is going to keep growing as the city keeps growing. That's part of it. When we compare to Atlanta, for instance, Atlanta has less initiatives, but a lot more availability for venture capital and funding. So there's certain things that we can learn from other cities to be able to shape our policy and to infuse that economic growth here in Orlando.
Mm-hmm. You know, a comment that you made reminded me of Juan Quiroga, whom I see here in the audience, and he is a very successful entrepreneur, and you're so right. He just wants to get going and start even more businesses and drive more success here locally. So that is, I think that Juan and his company, very emblematic of that Hispanic community spirit. What do you think, Ismael, are some of the most significant opportunities and challenges faced by small businesses, and where do you see untapped potential here in Central Florida from your point of view?
Well, when looking at the Orlando's economy, I think there are 3 sectors or industry that comes to mind, other than tourism. Tourism is already an engine for economic engine for the metro area. That's a given. It's going to keep growing on its own. We don't need to focus on it. But besides that, when you look at what's happening in Central Florida, I think there are 3 sectors that we need to watch out for. One of them is the logistics sector. So you look at the airport, the expansion that it just had with Terminal C. You got the Bright Line coming all the way from Miami. You got all those connectivities. And geographically, the location of Orlando between Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, and it's kind of halfway between Miami and Atlanta, which is another major hub for transportation logistics. I think Orlando is going to definitely be able to leverage that geographical location and focus a little bit more on logistics, especially when we look at that the Hispanic population and Hispanic businesses are going to have a lot stronger ties to Latin America than places like Atlanta. So transportation and logistics is going to be one of the biggest opportunities for Hispanic entrepreneurs coming in the next 20 years. Another sector that I think is really important to keep in mind is, with transportation and logistics comes infrastructure. Okay, so infrastructure is something that I see the city is investing heavily. And that's something that I'm very pleased to see. However, there's a lot more investment in infrastructure that needs to take place when we're looking at growing the city at the scale that we're looking at, okay? But when I talk about infrastructure, I don't only mean infrastructure in the sense of highways, or more airports. I think the city is coping well with those. But there are certain challenges, whether they're environmental for sustainability, that are part of the 2045 agenda. That need to be also considered. So we're looking at how do we become more resilient on the construction types that we have. So when there's a hurricane or natural disaster, how do we avoid flooding? How do we avoid homes being brought down? So there's an opportunity to keep growing the city and the infrastructure there. And last but not least, of the opportunities that I see is that the Hispanic community needs to embrace more technology, okay? We got AI, and I think there's gonna be another discussion just on AI. And AI and automation is definitely one of the opportunities that are out there that the Hispanic community needs to leverage a lot more. One of the things that I've noticed is that Hispanics are perhaps a little bit skeptical on technology and automation. They see that as a threat sometimes. I've seen that on myself, on my own business when AI first came out a couple of years ago. Hey, what is this AI going to do to my business? It's going to replace me. And then very quickly I realized if I don't embrace it, it's going to kill me. So I need to make sure that I embrace it and I use it to become better and more productive. So the Hispanic community needs to take that as an opportunity, anything that has to do with AI and automation. And you have, again, two big universities here, UCF and you got Full Sail, that can help you leverage that technology impact. As the threat, kind of mentioned already, or the challenges, I kind of mentioned already a couple of them. One is the lack of access to venture capital. If you look at Dallas, for instance, they have a public program to support the growth of small businesses for innovation, the venture capital. You look at Tampa and Miami, they get 5 to times more money in venture capital than Orlando. Orlando has very nice initiatives and some organizations like Prospera, which are going in the right direction, but they fall short on the demand. There is a lot more demand for that kind of support than what those organizations currently can support. So those are certain challenges that I see happening. And then the access to capital is another one. If you look at how small businesses are funded in Orlando area, you'll see that most of the funding comes from SBA loans, which is not the most sophisticated type of funding for entrepreneurs that are looking to grow a technology business, right? It's leveraging right away. Or they're leveraging family and friends, but access to capital needs to be fixed a little bit more. So.
Thank you. Ismael, as we wind down our time together, can you share with our guests, with the audience, one data point or imperative that you think will inspire them to stay the course and help us bring that fabulous Vision 2045 to fruition? Something inspiring that they can do to help Tim and the rest of the Tri-County area leadership bring that vision to fruition?
Very good question. So what comes to mind is that we need to invest in people, okay? I think, as I mentioned, the Hispanic community is already empowered to get things done. They lack a little bit of education. If you look at the Hispanic mentality, many times, I made so much money, I'm gonna buy a nice car, right? So they spend it right away. There's very little financial literacy. So I think we need to invest a little bit more on education of the Hispanic community, how to become better entrepreneurs, how to fund less small businesses and make sure that the existing ones are actually able to grow beyond the 1 million mark, beyond the 5 employees. How do we help them grow? So I think education is one of the things that we can help with the Hispanic community to make sure that they become better entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs. Okay, so I think that investment in people, other than infrastructure in places, is key to be able to sustain the growth that we're looking at in Orlando. And then I think what's important is that we also need to measure how many of these businesses can pull resources or human resources from local talent. The local talent needs to be exploited a lot more. Again, going back to UCF and Full Sail, we have a lot of expertise in Orlando that is flying away, so we need to bring that up. Also, we need to exploit the foreign direct investment. Their EB-5 programs, this is a job creation program in exchange for citizenship, mentioning the amount of foreign investment that is coming in and people coming to Orlando. I think we need to leverage those a little bit more. So,
wonderful. Thank you both for sharing your insights and your time with us this morning. Please join me in thanking our panelists. Thank you, Ismael. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Maritza.
And now it is my pleasure to turn over the stage to Adli Santiago Rivera, Youth Programs and Development Manager for the Orlando Magic. And I was so happy that you referenced Prospera, because Prospera has a very special place in our economic ecosystem. Adley is Madam Chair of its Regional Council and was just installed, I don't know, Adley, 72 hours ago. So please help me welcome Adley.
Thank you, Maritza. Thank you, panelists. Buenos dias. Good morning. As Marissa said, my name is Adley Santiago Rivera. I am the Manager of Youth Engagement and Development for the Orlando Magic and also the Prosperas Incoming Regional Board Chair. Orlando Magic is a proud supporter of Prospera's mission to help start, sustain, and grow Hispanic-owned businesses to achieve community prosperity. I would like now to introduce a human performance expert who helps professionals embrace AI not as a threat, but as a tool to enhance creativity, empathy, and decision-making. His neuroscience-based approach empowers individuals to reflect on how they work and use AI intentionally to strengthen what makes us uniquely human. Please join me in welcoming Patricio Cuesta.
Buenos dias, good morning. How are you today? All good? I'm going to be talking about something that is sometimes not very funny in a funny way. I'm trying to inspire you to realize the power behind AI if we think it in a different way. So before talking about technology, let's talk about us. How many of us have felt that mixed feeling of I'm excited about AI, but also I'm worried about AI? And be honest, raise your hand. How many of you? Not enough. I'm going to scare you a little now. That's my job today. My mixed moment, my AI mixed moment happened 2 years ago. I used to be a corporate executive, nothing to do with technology, but one day decided to start to become a mentor. I help executives and I mentor executives. I was working with a client, and he came to me saying, listen, my company is asking me to roll out AI. That was beginning of last year. That was still early stage of AI. And I'm struggling. I'm so concerned. I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. I'm concerned about myself. What's going to happen with me when I roll out AI in my company, a service company, and suddenly the chats and everything is technology-driven? Am I going to be able to deal with this and to run this organization? And I was expecting something simple to solve. This was the issue he had to solve. And the reality is that I was feeling the same. When he started to share with me the technology and the power, my feeling was pretty similar to this one. Gosh, we are done. He showed me some meetings, what technology can do, and I realized that maybe my new job, that is being an executive mentor, could be replaced by AI too. And then we were, the both of us, crying and saying, what's the future looking like? And then we work in something that is, to me, key in this process of adopting AI. That is understanding that we have emotions, and those emotions can stop us thinking clearly in order to work together with any threat and to transform it in something that could be good for you. And we started to work with him, reframing the danger, and he realized he had a lot of strengths he could offer to the society and his companies. And then he was okay, and things went well. In my case, the same. I started to apply to my business AI. I became more productive. I could achieve more with less. My clients were more happy than ever. And I was finding a new edge in my way of leading my business. So the first insight I want to share with you is, I know that you feel this kind of feeling sometimes when it comes to AI, but the first step I'm going to propose you today, I have 4 steps I use with my clients when it comes to technology adoption, is be aware that this is happening inside of your head. Even though you think that it's not happening and you think, I have everything under control, I know what I'm doing, AI is fine, something is there telling you, hey, you have to do something, you have to survive, and then you have a mechanism activated that is your limbic system that is shutting down your brain. Whenever you think that you're thinking, you're just reacting. This part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex that we call the executive brain, is the one that coordinates all the key elements of your brain, makes you smart or makes you dumb. And if you are reacting because you are afraid and your body is in survival mode because the only thing that matters is surviving, you're not thinking. So imagine how can you deal with such a complex change in the environment if you are surviving, if you're just thinking about doing something and not thinking in a proactive way. So be aware about this situation. And I have a question for you. How many of you in the last week felt that sensation of, I'm under stress, my memory is not so good, I'm maybe not thinking very clearly? Anyone here in the last 7 days? 2 hands from me. A lot of times. So maybe today we are not going to be fixing this tendency we have human beings of having that limbic arousal whenever there's a threat. We are humans, but we have here a small animal that is all the time telling us, survive, survive, survive. Doesn't care about planning, future, strategy, just wants you to stay alive. That's the way the brain has been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years. And when you're coming with plans and strategy, doesn't care. Shuts down your thinking, saves energy, and it's just fight or flight. Keep that in mind. This is the first step that is important in this process of evolving towards AI-boosted leaders and empowered leaders, is realizing, accepting, acknowledging that this is happening somewhere and someplace there in the back and could stop you from thinking clearly. Then, let's talk about technology, because I'm sure some of you are thinking, this guy is supposed to talk about AI, but he's talking about emotion. Okay, let's talk about AI. And this is a definition I love so much. That is, AI is knowledge, cognition, and memory augmentation machine. Why I love it so much? Because exactly those areas are the areas that, when you think about the human development, the human brain, were less developed. Think about 100, 1,000, 10,000 years ago. What was the name of the game? Survival, looking for dangers, not thinking about the strategy for your business. We were just thinking about non-cognition stuff. And suddenly today we are in a world where everything is about cognition. Social media, electronic stuff, discussions virtually, and that is something we are not prepared for. For hundreds of thousands of years, the evolution has prepared us for survival and living out there, and suddenly we are inside of rooms dealing with imaginary threats. So having AI helping us with knowledge, cognition, and memory, that is the real state of our brain less developed, is great, because we don't have great memory, it's very limited, we get tired after thinking a lot, and this part of the brain that is the thinking piece consumes a lot of energy and gets tired very easily. And you know, your brain thinks about survival, so when you're trying to think a lot, the brain says, hey, slow down, Patricio, save some energy. We need to be ready in case there is a bear coming to attack us. And maybe the bear is never coming, but you are saving the energy. So think about that way when it comes to AI. It's a perfect way of compensating an area of our brain that's going to take millions of years to catch up with today's world. So in that way, it's an exoskeleton that makes us more powerful when we need it in the things we need it. And then we talk about expanding human thinking. We tend to think that we are great at thinking. Are we? Sometimes we are chaotic, sometimes we are messy. So how can we take away cognitive stuff so we can truly become better thinkers? And not just thinking in general, but when it comes to our competitive advantage as human beings. Let's talk about that. This is you don't have to look to the details, but this is a graph that was included in a research trying to understand how well we are progressing in mapping the human brain and replicating it in language models. And you can see here 3 categories. And the most important one I want you to pay attention is the L3, that is rarely explored. And exactly those areas are the human areas. Empathy, connection, self-motivation, self-awareness. Those areas that make us special are the areas that AI is having more challenge to replicate, and the scientific community knows it's going to take a lot of years of research till that happens. So that's your competitive advantage. When you're running your business, when you're thinking about future, when you're planning, that makes you unique. And the cognitive stuff, that is L1 and L2, is already covered in AI. You can see that they're saying that the IQ of AI in those areas is already higher than us as human beings. So my message to you here is learn more about L3. List what is your L3, understand how well are you performing today in that L3, and think what I can do to make L3 more powerful, lasting longer. And each one of us have different L3s. We are not the same. So it's like your business. What's your competitive edge? This is your competitive edge. This is where AI cannot go through. And this is where intentionally you should be planning your day-to-day to engage with AI. And not just, I use AI, I use ChatGPT instead of Google. No, just think how I can make stronger those areas L3 and how I can leverage on L1, L2. And to help you with that, there is a next step you can take. That is, when you take your brain and you think about your activities, what are the activities you can automate because they don't create much value to you and you don't create much value to them? List them. Think about them. In my case, is meeting notes when I'm meeting with a client, research, having systematic research about what's the latest and the greatest when it comes to neuroscience, invoicing, contacting my clients, sharing information. I'm saving so much time there, and I can tell you, I think that in my business, I'm saving 20% of my time that I'm reinvesting in augmenting myself. What makes me special? What are the things that AI cannot do? What are the things that Patricio Cuesta can do better than anyone else? And if I continue improving, I can better serve the different stakeholders. Identify them, work on that, be aware of them, be intentional. Let me give you an example. In the case of augmentation, I use a lot AI as a coach for free. So I grab AI, I have a profile created, I have an agent, and it's just about having discussions. Hey, I faced this situation with a client. I did this, and that. What could have done better? Provide me feedback. And in that way, I don't need to hire anyone. I have already 24/7 somebody that is helping me to become better. Sometimes it's about looking to a situation with different hats. I'm about to take this decision, analyze this from this perspective, that perspective, or maybe I want to know what Steve Jobs will think about an idea I have. I mean, Steve Jobs' videos and all the information is out there. So, hey, AI, I have this project. Act as Steve Jobs. Help me to improve my value proposition so it's more relevant to my target. In that way, you can take advantage, not just about having a general response. You can get somebody that you admire, respect, you need, helping you to become a better person or a better professional. And then it comes the human edge. When it comes to connecting with my clients, now the notes are being handled by AI, so I can focus on my client, get every instance of communication, improving my contact with him. What else can you do more as a human that we think that we are great at? Let's be honest, we are chaotic humans, and sometimes what we think we do great, we are not so great at. So reflect on this, create a concrete list, and use AI for this, because sometimes we don't know what to do, what to say. Say to AI, hey, act as an executive coach, help me to think about what can I automate, what can I augment, what are the human things I do in general, and then you can start to work around that. Everything we are discussing here, you can do it with AI for free, if you know how to do it. And this is an example I want to share with you in how to make it happen. I want to stay in general concepts, and I know it's a lot of information. This is a long program. I work with my clients, but I want to get a summary of what does it mean. This is a summary of how to unblock a day-to-day of a learning and development manager in a company. So this person has to design programs for training, has to deliver the programs, has to administrate the system, and so on and so on. And then this person starts to divide in pieces, the 3 circles, and log in every day what this person is doing, how he's doing that. And then after a few days, you start to identify, oh, I'm repeating a lot of activities like this that doesn't add value. What about using AI for helping me to get rid of this activity? Or I tend to analyze a lot of scenarios. Why not becoming an expert in scenario management with AI? So this is a good example of how to, eating an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? In small pieces. Here's the same. The only way of you moving forward with AI is not just grabbing AI and using it for everything. Be intentional. Be, be specific what you're doing and for what goal. Track yourself. Am I saving time? Am I improving my decision making? Because otherwise, it's a chaotic process that you never know if it's moving forward in the right way. So let's summarize this whole concept. First, it's important to be aware that you have that animal in the back sometimes bothering you and stopping you from using this real estate. By the way, when you are afraid, scared, or full of emotions, this doesn't go to 50%. It goes to 0 or 100%. So you think or you don't think. It's that easy, guys. When you're aware, and there are techniques you can ask AI to implement in your life, how to, when you have somebody that is really bothering you, how to self-regulate and how to come back to balance and how to be able to use your memory and your prefrontal cortex to the maximum of its capacity. Engage with AI, but that's not just using AI, it's what AI I'm going to be using. Understanding limitations, understanding confidentiality issue, understanding everything you have to understand, understanding that can trick you. We're just talking about the fact that sometimes when you talk with AI starts to tell you great things about you. The other day I was asking for feedback and said, no, you are great, whatever. Okay, stop saying things that I don't care. Tell me exactly what I have to improve. You have to be very intentional and very careful, not letting AI trick you. Or ChatGPT, you are doing something, and then at the end says, do you want me to do something else for you? And you say, yes. Oh, AI is so nice. AI is trying to get things out of you so you don't do nothing, and you become a dumb human being. So we have to be intentional. You have to really use AI in a way where you achieve your goal and not AI's goal. Think about a treadmill or a machine to practice any sport at home. How many people in the US have one and they don't use it? Because they don't have that habit of constantly practicing that sport or that ability. Here's the same. What we're talking here is not about, oh, today I'm going to be doing this inventory of what I do. It's about creating a habit where every week you're going to be evolving, you're going to be learning, you're going to be incorporating. And also understanding that AI is not just about technology. AI is like the electricity of today. Tell me something. When you use any device at home, do you really start to think about, oh, the electricity came from here, the technology is it? You just use the electricity. And AI is going to be like that in the future, even today. It's a commodity that when it's going to be incorporated to any device you use, it's going to be just about interactions, dialogue. Learning how to ask AI what you need is a skill, and that requires to be trained. And that's an important thing that you work on. So before we close this session, I would like you to turn to the people nearby you and share with him something or her something that you will automatize after this meeting. Let's take 15 seconds and turn to somebody nearby you and say, hey, I'm thinking I want to get rid of this thing I'm doing today thanks to AI. Go ahead, please. I love it. Great, great, great. Now you have your plan. Perfect. So continue this exercise, please. This reflection of what to do and how to do it is the most important discussion. Don't let the technical discussion drive you. You don't need to spend a lot of money to learn AI. Everything's for free out there. AI can teach you. There are so many videos. The important thing is that you know what's my plan, where I want to be in a few years, what's my secret sauce, how I can augment that sauce through AI. I can tell you this, I have already went through this journey. I see a lot of people going through it. It's going to be exciting. So I wish you best of success with this journey. If anyone wants to have more material about this concept, just reach me in LinkedIn. And good luck with the journey. And I hope you don't have many mixed moments in your life. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Patricio. You guys hear me good? You guys hear me now? Gracias, Patricio. Buenos dias. My name is Stephanie Rivera Casiano. I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing Media with the Orlando Magic. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you guys today. Our team focuses on marketing strategy and how to better connect with our fans. For the last 2 years, we've been working closely with the Hispanic marketing agency Bold, who helped us develop the Dallas Magic campaign that has had an impact not only in Central Florida, but we recently took a trip to Puerto Rico for a preseason game. So that was fun. We had some giveaways there with our campaign, and it's just been exciting. So thank you, Ana, Carolina, and your team for all the help, and looking forward to continuing the relationship. It is my pleasure to introducing our final panel of the summit, Pioneers of Change, Shaping the Future Together. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Raul Gomila, General Manager, City Kia. Carlos Arroyo, retired NBA player and entrepreneur. Giovanna Barrios, FCS Facility Services. And moderator Yvette Brusal with Spectrum News. Thank you all for being here with us.
Buenos días. Oh my God, I see you on TV. Nene, ¿cómo tú estás? Qué rico verte. Hola. Okay. Tina, I think I'm just say this. Mira, I have something to say. I'm definitely not the smartest person in this room. Estando aquí escuchando the speakers, I was like, yeah, rayo, this is a lot of powerful knowledge. I'm not the smartest, but I'm definitely the loudest. So prepárense, I'm trying to stay professional, pero I cannot help but me myself. Eres un honor para mí estar con ustedes. Truly an honor to be here representing Spectrum News. Typically, I get to work at 3 in the morning to do the morning news. So I got to sleep in. Because me dijo, tú tienes que ir para allá, para el Kia Center, representar. Yo dije, mira, that's fine with me. Pero estoy tan excited de estar con ustedes. I know we have a limited time. Should I stand or should I sit? You know what? I think I'm going to sit. And now, I have a microphone. Should I use this? I guess I'm going to use this one over here. Okay.
I love the energy. Tempranito.
So I have prepared statements, but I've got to tell you something. Before Bad Bunny effect, we had the Carlos Arroyo effect in Orlando. Y te lo voy a decir, yo estuve en un cumpleaños cuando tu primera hija era bien chiquitita. So we're talking, I don't know, 20 years ago. Y cuando Carlos Arroyo llegó a Orlando, there were parades. They were like, I mean, he showed up, it's like Elvis walked in the room.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's true, Carlos, and I gotta give you your flowers because ahora estoy más vieja y no me importa. I just tell people how I feel. So when you left Orlando, I have to tell you, we were not, it was very sad. We could not believe it. I still have my jersey. I should have brought it, but I think my 17-year-old, my son wasn't even born yet, so that's how much time has passed. And then I see you all the time on the commercials. I know. It's like I saw you outside earlier. Estaba en el teléfono. I'm like, mira, el señor de la televisión. Okay, I've got beautifully prepared cards. Honestly, it is an honor to be here representing Spectrum News. at the Kia Center that's absolutely beautiful. Que lindo. It's a beautiful building. I got some video for Spectrum News, and also we have Spectrum Noticias, 24-hour news in Spanish. I mean, we can hear stats and data all day long, but when you see it come to fruition, it becomes a reality. Me da un taco, como decimos en Puerto Rico, now that we're doing Spanish news. Okay, enough about me. Welcome. Thank you for having me, it says the paper. I'm really excited to get this conversation started. Y voy a hacerlo en Spanglish, un poquito de español, un poquito de inglés, because, well, we've heard the stats. We're here and we're not going anywhere. So esto es lo que hay. Yes.
Así es.
Okay. To all the panelists, I want to ask you this first, and Carlos, we'll start with you, as I have my papers here. ¿Tú sabes qué? I'm going to do it with Giovanna first.
Yes.
I'm old school. Ladies first, okay? So ladies first. So we'll start with you, Giovanna. What does being a pioneer of change mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, my mother always told me when I was young, you have the no, go for the yes. And that has driven me in everything that I do. I mean, from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. In fact, when I came in this building today, I came through the Geico garage, like a lot of you might have done, and I got completely lost, because if you're not used to this arena, I mean, it's like a maze. And a young lady was very helpful, and we ended up confronting a set of doors that said fire doors. And I figured, okay, well, let's go through them. And she was hesitant, and I said, the only way to know is to try. And you know what? We went through the doors, and it worked, and it was fine. So I would say 9 times out of 10, if you want to make change, you have to go for it. Just go for it.
That's it. Don't be scared. No tengas miedo. Métele mollero.
Exactly.
Okay, muy bien. I like that. Okay, Carlos, the same question for you. What does being a pioneer of change mean to you personally and professionally?
I'm very humble to have this perception of a pioneer, you know. I think a lot of people that came before me taught me the way.
Like who?
Just veterans on teams, people that I came across, my parents. Those are the real pioneers, because they showed me the way. They showed me how to be respectful, respect the game, be a good teammate, be a good human being more than anything. And I think those qualities kind of shape my future and who I am today, but and also understanding what I represented. When I was in the NBA, I was the only Puerto Rican in the NBA, and
Wow.
one of the few Latinos.
Powerful.
So one of the few Latinos to be in the NBA, represent our culture. So I knew I had to carry myself in a very respectful manner, with grace, you know, and understanding what I represented. So, and, you know, to understand change, you have to go through the process too.
Pero
Understanding.
los obstacles, cuando la gente trataban de pararte, no sé, sometimes it could be with even own players, que le da envidia that you're getting all the media attention because you got a lot of media attention, and we would not stop because we're so proud of you. How did you deal with those obstacles?
It was tough at times. We're not going to get into like the personal stuff, because I think, you know, a lot of times I felt that way. But you kind of embrace the positive aspect of things, you know, the good teammates I had, the positive energy that I had from the fans, especially here in Orlando, from the fan base, you know, coming out to the games and supporting me. I mean, the ones that were here, you guys used to see all the Puerto Rican flags out there, you know, and that was such an inspiring and such a proud moment for me, just to be a part of this community, and I will always remember that. So.
Qué bueno que estás aquí con nosotros. This is awesome that you're here today. Raúl, how about for you? What does being a pioneer of change mean to you personally and professionally? And now we're going to hear your voice.
Okay, so I think it's ingrained in you, in your soul, in tu entraña, you know. So I believe that when you have the privilege to pioneer change and affect other people's lives in a positive environment, that comes with great responsibility. And there are going to be challenges along the way. There's going to things that are going to try to take you off course, so you don't finish the race, or you can't get to that person to help them, and you just drive like a rhino. You don't stop. You don't stop, and you know, you have to have a clear vision of where you want to go to get there. And then you can start helping people in a positive way in all aspects of life, not just financially, socially, culturally, spiritually.
So glad you mentioned that. It's multifaceted.
It's multifaceted, and you touch people on different people at different levels, and certain people have a certain need at a certain time, and being able to know how you can help them make changes to better their lives, that's a big deal. And those are the wins. That's what makes the journey worthwhile.
Okay, this is not on my papers, but I got to ask you this, I'm going to call this the lightning round. So los organizadores, bear with me because I'm going to stay on track, but I got to ask you this because I'm looking at you, and it's one thing to, sit and talk with someone, but it's very different when they look at you in the eyes, right? And there's a connection there, and so it's truly a conversation. I feel compelled to ask you this. When you wake up in the morning, is it a, oh, here we go, or oof, here we go, or is it a mixture of both?
As far as what?
When you just wake up every day, whether it's a business venture, whether you've got some sort of thing happening in Puerto Rico, whether you have a trip like this, do you wake up with a mixed bag of like, ay Dios mío, or oh yeah, let's do it, a trepidation, or do you push forward, or is it a mixed bag?
I think you kind of embrace the position you're in within the community and what you represent, right? In many aspects, you wake up and you have a bad day, or you don't want to do things that, inspire others. And I've embraced it, and I've understood it. I went through the process of, being the kid from Fajardo, Puerto Rico, to being Carlos Arroyo, the European player, the NBA player, and you kind of understand the journey and respect the love that you have from
And maybe channel
your
that
peers.
energy that if you're waking
Right.
up, I don't believe in bad days at all. I believe in like maybe not so good, but we don't say that B word, bad, because it just kind of puts that out in the universe. How about for you? Mixed bag when you get started, or you're like, let's do this.
I really strongly believe that when you wake up in the morning, what you feed your mind
Yes.
is very powerful. If
Bingo.
you turn on the news and you start watching the war in Gaza and all these things, you know what? That's going to make you feel a little bit more negative. But if you
Yes.
put on, I don't know, I Love Lucy or something happy, whatever makes you happy, what you're feeding yourself, or listening to an inspirational podcast or audiobook.
Listen to iHeartRadio, they're here.
iHeartRadio,
Or Spectrum
absolutely.
News. I don't know.
I love Spectrum News. I love you. That is very, very important to get the day started on the right foot.
Y para ti, Raúl, is it like a mixed bag of like, ugh, and no?
For me, the first moments are a little bit of spiritual. It's a time to connect with God and thank Him for that my
Ahí
toes are
está.
working. After my
Yes.
back surgery, that I can get up. Okay, I got up. That's good. And then it's showtime. I got to psych myself up because that's part of my everyday duties, right?
Yes.
So I have to put myself in a frame of mind, warrior mentality. That's,
Yes.
Because there's some people in this room that I've worked closely with, and the day that I don't feel, when I wake up, the day that I don't feel that fire in my belly, that's the day that I change into a different chapter in my life. As long as I have that fire every morning, that'll get me through the good days and the tough days.
That is fascinating. Thank you for sharing that with us, because there's the personal side that we're talking about, but now we're going to get to the professional. Here we go. Carlitos, for you, how has your journey from professional athlete to entrepreneur shaped your perspective on leadership and representation? And feel free to go through the list of businesses that you have that some of us may know about or others may not.
I'm so grateful for my journey. I think being able to play basketball and have traveled the world representing Puerto Rico and representing the NBA and representing my family, my culture, I've learned from so many people, so many teammates that I've had, so many teams, clubs that I've been a part of, and you get to know the real leaders, and those real leaders have shaped me into being an entrepreneur today, and with the businesses that I have, and just
Which are?
guiding my kids, obviously,
Yes.
and every day, and a lot of, I'm involved with the national team of Puerto Rico, the Olympic team. I'm so proud of that. I've been involved with the last 6 years with that, being the general manager for the team. Recently, bought a sports team in Puerto Rico, a professional sports team, the Vaqueros de Bayamón. No sé si hay vaqueros aquí. And I'm so proud of that as well, and in other things. We recently brought the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic to have a game in Puerto Rico. I was proud to be a part of that process. So many things, and just the leadership that I had within the game, I think shaped me into the business side of it, and it's very similar. You lead a team, and you have the same mindset to reach a goal, and in business it's the same way.
No offense to Bad Bunny, because I know there's a lot of Bad Bunny fans out there, But that's why I said, literally, before Bad Bunny, we had Carlos Arroyo because that mentality of, no, espérate.
I did music, pero
Titi me
no es ni
preguntó,
cerca de la...
no. What I was going to say is that because before the mentality that he wanted to keep everything in Puerto Rico with the residency, you were doing that, investing in all of these athletic endeavors en la Isla del Encanto. That's why I say that, because I thought,
Thank you,
okay.
thank
No,
you.
es verdad, es verdad. Giovanna, for you, how has your cultural identity influenced your approach to innovation and advocacy?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'd say that's two parts. One, I mean, it's in the heartbeat. Our cultural identity is in the heartbeat of everything that we do every day. It's part of who we are. For the innovation side, I would say a lot of times people think it's about technology. It's not always about technology. I have over 500 employees, and for us, it's yes, there are some technological innovations, but a lot of times it's how do we improve the culture of the company? How do we improve the well-being of our employees?
Yes.
And you know, you're looking at 500 employees. Most of them have spouses, if not children. So you're looking at over 1,000 people now that are impacted by what happens in the workplace. And the second part of that is advocacy. I'm a huge advocate for all of those employees, and not only them, but everybody here in Central Florida. I oftentimes go to DC. I'm actually flying there today. I like to meet with lawmakers and talk about policy changes, how we can make things happen. If you want to be a pioneer of change, you have to start somewhere. So if you feel passionate about something, move forward, go to the top, find out how you can make change happen.
And I think it goes back to your initial comment of like, you're not, even if you're scared, you got to push through that emotion.
Yes.
Because if not, the mind is a very powerful thing, it can take over. Now, because besides the morning show, I'm also honored to be part of a politics show at night. So I work at 3 in the morning, and then the politics show's at 7 p.m. Yo no duermo. Estoy bien cansada. This is why I have bags on my eyes. But you say you're going to DC. I'm like, for the politics show, there's a shutdown. Who are you going to be talking to? Because apparently they're not talking to each other. So people are still doing some stuff in DC, apparently.
There's still some stuff happening.
Yeah, I'm like, wait. Yes, of course, there's still stuff happening. Yeah. Okay, great. So let me ask you, as I move along here, I think I want to skip some of the questions. Should I skip some of them? No, we're going to condense them because somebody took the time to prepare.
We can all talk fast.
Yes, I know, like me. People go, did you have a lot of coffee? I'm like, no. This is me with 0 coffee or lots of coffee, as Jose Diepa with Advent Health knows very well. Okay, I want to ask Raul, I feel like there's a lot of pivotal moments in your career, but if you could pick maybe 1 or 2 that challenged you to be, to lead differently or more boldly. And we know you're bold because we've seen all your commercials. And I'm not going to be like a groupie here, but they're very catchy. You know this. I saw you like in a race car or something.
Yeah.
Yes, that was good.
Filmed it right here.
Yes, okay, bravo.
I got in trouble for that.
¿Por qué? Dish, spill the tea.
We flew a drone, but it was an accident.
Oh, everybody was safe. Okay,
Everybody's good.
Diantre, okay, I was not expecting that. Okay, so what's the pivotal moment?
I'll tell you 2008. So I had been a general manager for 8 years, recently leaving Fort Lauderdale to go to West Palm Beach. So I left a very high-level position as general manager of a very, very large dealership, one of the top 5 in the country of that brand, and went to West Palm. Well, my wife said something about timing, and I started in March of 2008, and we all know what happened in March of 2008, the beginning of the fall. So I said, well, boy, timing. And in a census in that country, like Automotive News, that year, 98% of dealerships were in the red that year, all around the country. It was devastating for the automobile business. So here I am in an unsafe environment I just put myself in, and I had a really good group of people, and everybody was terrified. So with sheer will and faith, I had to get them to put almost like a mental barrier around the dealership, that no matter what you heard on the news, the word recession, repo, foreclosure, short-term falls, all the things, the mortgage crisis, all the things that ensued at that time, we were able to keep our sense of today. We live for one day. Let's do it one day at a time. We got to get through each day in a positive way. And within 6 months, the dominoes were falling everywhere. We actually started within 6 months during that year adding people instead of laying people off. So And like you said about advertising, everybody cut their advertising. Everybody. I bought it all. So
You bought it all.
Yeah, because everybody was cutting and I was getting for 10, 30 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
So I figured that when they came out, we would have a dominant presence, and it all played out, and that became one of the top 5 stores in the country.
You were rolling the dice, but there was something in your gut that was saying, I need to do this.
Move forward, charge. No retreat, no surrender, and it's hard to maintain a positive culture in an environment like that. That was probably the most difficult thing. And then I show up in Orlando, February 15th of 20, a new chapter of my life. City Kia, here I come. I get to Orlando, city beautiful, here I am. 3 weeks later, COVID. I said, how could this be happening to me twice in my lifetime?
There's a common denominator here.
Yeah, it's me. I gotta go.
What's the next one? What? Please don't tell. No, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
And we saw one of the vehicles outside, right? Yeah, that was nice. I did some Soj, and I will tag you guys later because that was fun to walk into. Okay, seguimos. Sí, paramos.
No.
Seguimos.
Sí.
Okay, I'm definitely over-caffeinated right now, I feel. But that's okay. El café está bien bueno de Mecatos. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay, this is to all the panelists. Can you share a time when your Hispanic heritage empowered you to break barriers or challenge the status quo? Carlos.
Me, okay.
Yes, you.
I would have to say the 2004 Olympics when we beat the United States.
Eso fue. That was incredible.
I think that was great, not only for Puerto Ricans, but for Latinos in general all around the world. I think it showed a moment of togetherness. I think it showed a moment of pride in our community, and I was extremely honored and proud to be a part of that moment.
How about for you, very quickly?
Separating myself from this, let's talk about Hispanic businesses in relation to this.
Yes.
In the U.S., 25% of businesses are run by Hispanics and owned by Hispanics. That's, I think, just under $600 billion of revenue, which equates to about just under $1 million per business. Why? Why the issue is, the issue is that we are not growing our businesses over $1 million. So there is a barrier there that we need to push, and we need to find out why, and maybe we can talk to Patricio and see if AI can help us.
What do you think? When you look at the marketplace, what do you think that is? Why can't we push past that $1 million mark, I think?
You know, that's a great question, and I know to the speaker's earlier points, the SBA does give loans. I think it is a matter of scaling the businesses and really understanding, that there are so many programs out there to help Hispanics. There's all kinds of disadvantaged programs, minority programs. There's minority set-asides and contracts. People need to look into this and learn how to scale their business and grow it.
Yeah, because it's one thing if you have 8 employees and you got 20. And then it keeps multiplying, your business model has to adjust, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, and every time, I've noticed that every time we get to a certain increment of revenue of employees, it's painful, you have growing pains, and then you get to that next level and it's comfortable for a little while, and then you push, you gotta keep pushing, you get to the next level, it's a struggle, and then you're good.
And it could be as simple as operating systems. I'm not gonna say the name of the places because it's not a knock on them, they have a wonderful service. But I do see through the years, we would have 1 or 2 Hispanic-owned eateries, restaurantes, and now we've grown so much. Es increíble, it's truly magnificent, not just Osceola County, but here in the metro area. And before you're like, okay, quiero XYZ for food. Okay, la chica te coge la orden y se acabó. Now you go to these places, it's like the touch screen, y todo está automated, and you go, yeah, rayo, like we really moved up in the world here. Or you can go ahead and get it on Uber Eats, la tecnología ha cambiado. And you see some smaller Hispanic-owned businesses, I love to eat out, even though I love to cook, y tienen esa situación donde it's more de tú a tú when you're ordering, but then there's the other ones that have just catapulted with the technology. You go, I feel like they're expanding faster, they're growing their brand faster because they've got the support system.
And to your point, Hispanic businesses grew 25% during the pandemic, and it was in large part thanks to the innovations and the forethinking of being able to do touch screens and pickups and all kinds of stuff.
Raúl, para ti, can you share a time when your Hispanic heritage empowered you to break barriers or challenge the status quo?
I think it started at an early age. I was born in Cuba, raised in New York City, and then I got whisked away to Canada. So I lived in Canada for 5 years, where I was forced to join a hockey team. I played straight ice
You were
hockey
in a
team.
hockey team.
Listen, so
Breaking
yeah,
news.
It gets great. Breaking news. There you go. So
Ay,
I
Dios mío.
started. I had a knack for it, and I started doing really well. But they first of all, they didn't even know what a Cuban was. In Canada, they had no idea. Where are you from? New York. But are you Spanish? Do you speak another language? Yeah, I speak Spanish. Where are you from? Cuba. What's that? I'm like, well, it's an island in the Caribbean. It's kind of big island. But it was, since I was a kid, it was always, I was in situations where I was a one-off. So I was always comfortable in my own skin. I mean, it was a funny story. My grandmother was a great cook. So all these kids in the neighborhood in Canada, we come from school, we had a lake in the back, we'd play every day. We played hockey every day, day, night, middle of the night. And my grandmother would cook food. And they had never had arroz con frijoles, una palomilla, masita de puerco. They had, and I got the whole neighborhood hooked on Spanish food. And they were loving it. But so even, it's, you know, I'm just bringing that example as a kid. And then through my whole life, I embrace my heritage, always been very, very proud of my culture and my family and where I came from. And one thing that we were talking about the other day is that to me it's important. As I get older now, and I remember things when I was younger, and what our parents went through, you know, let's say 2, 3 generations ago, you were Hispanic, you're lucky you got a job. You're lucky that you can live in this building, or you're lucky, or you should be grateful for this, and we were. Everybody's grateful, because we worked twice as hard to get what we had to do. We did whatever it took and did it the right way. But more importantly today, and for this new future, the younger generations that are going to be leading this country, is embrace your culture. It is a strength, not a deficit. It makes you stronger, not weaker. So embrace it and be full of conviction, and things turn out pretty good.
I think that's great advice. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about that as I jump up to the next one, it's what advice do you give to the next generation? And I'm not necessarily talking about age. It doesn't have to be somebody that's, you know, a little bit younger than us in the audience, but maybe wants to kind of expand their repertoire. What advice would you give them? I think one of the things that you talk about, our heritage, is so very important. But I also want the three of you to chime in when it comes to work ethic. There's a lot of younger people in my life who are so innovative, and I need them, to keep me cool. So now when they talk about something, I don't go, oh yeah, okay, got it. I go, this is what I reply with, because they taught me. They say whatever they're saying, and then I go, heard. I just say heard. Like the lingo, right? So they've shown me so much about innovation, technology, how to stay cool with what I say. However, there's something to be said, and maybe the three of you can chime in, on the work ethic. Because it's not about like taking trips with my friends and I'm going out with my friends and let's go ahead and get to work late. I'm gonna leave early. Oye. You gotta put in the time. What does that look like to different people? I don't know. So what can you say about inspiring people and advice? Yes, A, about their heritage, but B, about just the work ethic.
I think, you know, hard work doesn't guarantee success. I think we all know that, right? But you stand no chance without it either, you know? And, you know, I have 3 kids. I try to, you know, help them understand, embrace discipline, embrace being on time, embrace, you know, being considerate, working hard, you know, and it's tough nowadays because this new generation, I don't know if it's that I'm getting old, but they're extremely entitled and they want things fast. So, you know, and to go back to his point, I think, you know, I go through that every year, trying to take my kids to Puerto Rico and, you know, spend time with their grandparents. You know, they speak English 100% of the time in school. If you speak Spanish, this I know, I heard the other day, they get embarrassed, they get made fun of because they don't speak Spanish. And embracing the culture is extremely important for me. You know, I come from an era where there was no internet in Puerto Rico, you know, and for me to get recruited to come to the States and go to school here, I had to leave my family at 14 to live in Georgia with a family that I didn't know so that I can follow my dreams and opportunities. So, you know, nowadays, you know, kids that are being recruited at 13, 14, you put a video on the internet, instantly they're recruited, you know?
Eso es así.
So,
But is it sustainable? I would think that they can be the influencers all day long, 2-3 years. Is that sustainable? And at that young age,
Right.
whatever money they're getting paid from royalties through social media, lo van a gastar. Because at 22, 23, were you saving your money?
right, so, but not a lot of kids have that foundation of having a good family to explain to you and to guide you through those channels. So, being a good parent, obviously being a responsible parent helps with that stability en el hogar, ¿no? De la familia.
Claro.
Pero there's so many ways and so many things we can talk, but just embracing, having discipline, to me, is what drove me, it's what helped me become the person I am today in business and in sports. So that's the only thing I know. That's how I was raised.
Hard work. And I mean, I'm sure when it comes to your basketball, you were first in practice, last out, as we've heard so many other sport greats.
Being the only Latino, that's the only thing you needed to do. Be the first one and be the last one, you know? So, and I was embracing that opportunity every day. I had to be the first one, you know, and the last one to leave, the one that run the hardest, the one that I was always paying attention to everything that was, and I was growing, I was learning, and taking nothing for granted. You know, I had to
Eso es
struggle
así.
so much to get to where I am.
What about for you as we wrap it up? You know, organizers, kind of give me a hand signal in the back if I'm doing okay with time or whatever. Yeah, we're okay. So very quickly, just last closing thoughts before we wrap it up. Just about the next generation.
Yeah, I would say, you know, for the work ethic aspect, people need to understand that it's not cool to be broke. And hard work doesn't always guarantee success. but-
Wow, put that on a t-shirt.
I mean, when you're young, you know, you
Ooh.
want to hang out with your friends, but that's not going to get you anywhere. Discipline, you know, waking up every morning and whether it's working out and showing up to work every single day, the consistency, I think is
Discipline.
very important.
Yes. And what about for you, rapidito, Raúl?
To echo what Carlos says, that word entitlement is one of the
Oh,
things-
Mike.
I'm sorry. The word sorry. The word entitlement is a challenge for anybody managing diverse groups of people. And in my world, it was such a shock to see some of the younger generation that are more worried about everything else but actually putting the work in. But they're entitled. They deserve this. They deserve that. I should have this. I should have that. But you got to work for it. And I believe, hopefully, our society gets back on track where the value of hard work, being on time, doing the right things are rewarded in society. Because in the last 8 to 9 years, I've seen the trend growing. Like I said, with some of the much younger generation, you know, and it's like, you know, I remember being a kid and hearing it over and over when President Kennedy spoke. Ask not what you can do, what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? We need to adopt that mindset again. We need to have that. And the other thing I implore these younger generations is to embrace critical thinking. Question it. If it doesn't make sense, why? Get to the bottom of the rabbit hole. Jump in and go down until you figure out an answer. Everything's not on ChatGPT. Put the work in, put the time in,
The
put the
critical
discovery
thinking.
mode, and it'll enrich your lives.
Rapidito. 5 seconds. What's your favorite? Bachata, merengue. Which rhythm moves your soul? Rapidito.
Reggaeton.
Reggaeton. Tra. Y para ti?
Merengue.
Merengue. Y Raúl.
Merengue.
Raúl. And an idea for you, a podcast. Rapidito con Raúl. Because él habla rapidito. He's got everything going.
I like it.
Okay, there you go. Listen, thank you all for your insight.
thank you.
I
You've
truly
been
appreciate it.
amazing.
Now, smile real quick. I gotta get this video for Channel 13. Okay, this is for Channel 13, so just wave. Ready, steady, go. And clap and do whatever. Viste, there's no photographer, so I'm doing it because you have to be multifaceted. Aunque tenemos aspectos noticias por ahí. Thank you, panelists.
Thank
Los
you.
quiero
No,
mucho.
amazing. Thank you.
Un montón.
All right. What do we think about the panel? That panel was incredible. So we had three business owners and a NBA Magic player that truly made a difference in our community. So thank you so much, Yvette Brusual. What do you think of our moderator? Thank you so much, Yvette Brusual from Spectrum News. And now it is my honor, as we close out the part of the summit, to recognize a distinguished leader whose impact reaches far beyond the basketball court. Mr. Alex Martins, former CEO of the Orlando Magic, and since joining Magic in 1989, Alex has led with excellence, integrity, and purpose. And for over 3 decades, he has shaped the Magic into a cornerstone of community and engagement, uplifting Central Florida's vibrant community, including our Hispanic population. His commitment extends beyond the arena, and through his service at the University of Central Florida, a proud Hispanic serving institution, where he continues to champion opportunity and inclusion for future leaders. Under his leadership, the Orlando Magic's 25-year partnership with the Hispanic Chamber has strengthened ties between our business community and the Magic enterprise, demonstrating once again what collaboration looks like. On behalf of the Hispanic Chamber of Metro Orlando, Board of Directors, and the entire member community, it is my privilege to present Alex Martin with the Hispanic Impact Summit Leader Award for outstanding contributions to the Latino community. Congratulations, Alex. And joining me back on stage, I would like to invite Maritza Martinez and Isu Maat.
Well, thank you, Pedro, and thank you to the Hispanic Chamber. I'm honored to receive this award. And of course, when I got word that Pedro wanted to present this award to me, I said, well, no, you should present it to the Orlando Magic because, you know, we can't do what we do without the entire staff and the entire organization here at the Orlando Magic. And from our ownership to our great staff, you know, it's been a privilege to work alongside them for me for over 31 years now here with the Orlando Magic. So it's an honor, and I want to thank you very much. But again, you know, this belongs as much to the entire organization and all of our employees as it does for me. You know, I'm proud of our relationship with the Hispanic Chamber. As Pedro said, it's been over 25 years now. You know, when we started this relationship back in the early 90s, late 90s, and the Hispanic community has always been an important part of the Orlando Magic in our history. You know, here in Orlando and here at the now Kia Center, and the relationships that we've developed and, you know, the businesses that we've developed together, I think are gratifying. We're humbled by the fact that we've been able to stand alongside of you. So many of our great corporate partners come from the Hispanic community, and so many of our season ticket holders and our clients, you know, are from the Hispanic community as well, and that just speaks to the great relationship that we've all had together here at the Orlando Magic. And of course, in my role as chair at the University of Central Florida, we're proud to be recognized as one of the top Hispanic serving institutions in the country. We're proud of that, and I know our President Cartwright has that as a very important focus of his as we continue to move forward and grow the University of Central Florida as well. So again, I can't thank you enough, Pedro. I can't thank the Hispanic Chamber enough for this great honor. Thank you all very much.
you all help me in congratulating Alex again for well-deserved honor and distinction. Have you all had a good time this morning? This side had a good time this morning? This side had a good time this morning? Well, keep clapping, because in order to make an event like this happen, there's a bunch of amazing people working behind the scenes on our staff, as well as on the chamber staff, who all deserve a round of applause as well. So would you please join me in giving a round of applause to Katie Dallas on our team, and Tanya and Griselle, and too many people to name, but a lot of amazing people and a lot of hard work. Thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time to join us today. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today as well. We hope that you continue to make the connections, continue your conversations, and continue to collaborate with us and collaborate with each other to make Central Florida the most amazing region in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Isu. Now you're like Yvette Brusual, a la izquierda, a la derecha. You're doing the same thing as Yvette now. And thank you all for attending. Now we would like to invite our gold members to an exclusive lunch presented by City Kia. So if you have pre-registered, please follow the team. They're gonna lead you all the way to the room. Everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. There's a lot more exciting things happening at the Chamber, and thank you, Orlando Magic, for this partnership.
Go Magic on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Magic.